Hello, everyone. This lecture is on an important topic in CAT, odd one out. Now, odd one out is a topic you expect three questions from this, maximum four. So you can keep it a range two to four, but normally it's three, given the pattern of the verbal section in CAT for the last 3 to 4 years. So typically, this comes as a part of the verbal reasoning module. There are other questions as well. All these questions, 10 questions, come from verbal reasoning. These are type in the answer type questions, theta questions. In these questions, you have to write the answer in the given space. But basically, it's most of these questions are like you need to just type the answer in place of choosing an option. So there are four questions tentatively on para jumbles, two to three on odd one out, two to three on para summary. You might expect a one on here, there on para completion or conclusion, right? So these 10 questions, odd one out is an important part. As I said, expect two to four questions on an average three from this topic. So let me first explain to you this topic, and then I'll be taking up three odd one out questions from CAT 2019. Now, let's start with the very fundamental. Uh, what is our understanding of a paragraph, right? A paragraph is normally in school you must have studied that there are three parts to understanding of an essay, right? Introduction, then comes the body, and finally comes the conclusion, right? So there is a typical flow. This flow can be in terms of a logical flow like this, or it can also be kind of a different kind of a sequential flow. Maybe, for example, it can be a chronological flow, right? So what happened first in the past, then what happened in the present, what's happening in the present, and then what lies in the future. That kind of paragraph arrangement can also be there. So typically, in the exercise of formation of paragraph, uh, is a very interesting logical exercise where you are looking for some kind of chronological, sequential, logical flow. Uh, so questions based on paragraph formation are asked in para completion, para jumbles as well. But the topic that we are more focused on right now is odd one out. So what is odd one out? Let's say you are given 4 to 5 sentences, and it's suppose there are 5 sentences. It is given that four of these sentences form a logical paragraph, and you need to find that one sentence which goes out, right? So that is the odd one out. So basically, it is an exercise of paragraph formation wherein four sentences form a logical coherent paragraph, and one sentence doesn't fall into the picture. So definite thing is that this being a type of CAT question, there will be confusion in options. So how do we work through these options to get to the final answer? So let me give my first advice. First thing first, obviously you are looking to form a paragraph. So we are looking to form a paragraph, which means that you are looking for a para flow, right? So para flow means trying to arrange, right? So just suppose A, B, D, and E, they get arranged in a flow, which means they are getting connected or form a link, right? So the automatic option, if A, B, D, and E, they are getting connected in the form of a flow or a link, right? So we know that yes, so they form a paragraph and C goes out. So thinking in terms of making a paragraph, right? Para jumbles, and the one which doesn't exactly fall into picture, that becomes the odd one out, right? So that is one way of looking at it. Yes, but that is not the only way. Rather, in many questions, you don't need to exactly look at forming a paragraph or thinking of the logical sequential order, which means you don't exactly need to do a parajumbles exercise. Instead, you can actually look at the second logic which I am discussing. This second logic is just trying to identify the core and find out which sentences are related to the core. So in such sentences, there will be a core and there will be a subcore in many such sentences, right? Or you can say theme or sub-theme. So the sentences which are connected to the subcore, they will form the paragraph, and the one which is slightly related to the core but it is not related to the subcore, that goes out. Getting the point? So let me give you an example on this core subcore thing. For example, there is a paragraph, there's a odd one out exercise on sentences talking about an India Australia match played in Mumbai, test cricket match. So let's say the four sentences are talking about the pitch conditions, the weather conditions on the day, right? And there's one sentence which is talking about the averages of the different top order batsmen in both the teams. Now, all of these five sentences are connected by a core. What is that core? We're talking about India-Australia cricket match, right? But the other four are strictly connected by a sub-core, that is the particular day playing conditions, pitch condition, weather conditions. That is the conditions on the day. So everything is revolving around cricket, further about India, Australia cricket, further about the conditions on the day, right? So the sub-core, there might be, in most cases, you will see there is a sub-core which connects different parts of a sentence, different parts of a paragraph, and they together gel together to form a paragraph. And the one which is part of the core but not related to the sub-core, that one standout one that goes out. So there are two ways, not exclusive, but both ways are important. There are two ways of understanding this topic. One, try to form a paragraph like parajumbles, and the one which moves out of that link becomes the answer, odd one out. Two, look at the subcore and the core and see which one is belonging, which sentences are belonging to the subcore and which one stands out. So thinking in these two terms, you can actually get to the answer in most questions. Now I'll take you through, as discussed, 2019 odd one out questions, and I'll apply these concepts there. So let us start with the 2019 questions. Look at the instructions. Five sentences related to a topic are given below. See, it's already given related to a topic, right? So this is what I was talking about the core. It's given in the instructions. Four of them can be put together to form a meaningful and coherent short paragraph. So this part, put together to form a meaningful and coherent paragraph. This part is what I am talking about the subcore. Identify the odd one out, and then you need to type in the answer, right? So this is the question type. The instruction itself explains what the topic is. Got it? So let's go to the first question. I'll read out the question for you. Statement number one. One argument is that actors that do not fit within a single well-defined category may suffer an illegitimacy discount. Two, others believe that complex identities confuse audiences about an organization's role or purpose. So I have a habit that when I read questions on paragraph reasoning, I keep marking or highlighting words which can link to another sentence. So others believe, so there might be some other perspective, the other side to the story as well. The third one, some organizations have complex and multidimensional identities that span or combine categories, while other organizations possess narrow identities. So it's given that one is complex and the other is a narrow identity, right? So you see again here, there was complex identity mentioned here, and there's a narrow identity, another one which has been described, right? So this is talking about two. So just now these two sentences might get linked on this logic. So I keep highlighting those words, right? Number four, identity is one of the most important features of organizations, but there exist opposing views among sociologists on how about how identity affects organizational performance. So we are talking about identity. This might be a kind of introductory sentence because all throughout we are talking about identities. Okay. Number five, those who think that complex identities are beneficial point to the strategic advantages of ambiguity and organizations' potential to differentiate themselves from competitors. So here we are talking about those who think that complex identities. So that's one point of view, right? Okay. So by the time I'm here, I already see it's about organizational identity, right? And so what are we talking about here? We are talking about identity, right? So four might be the introductory one. Okay, I'm not looking at the exact order now because I first feel that let's find a core, and if the core more or less links the statements, I don't need to go for the exact parajumble order. So number four is identity is important part of organization. So this is kind of an introduction, right? So I like this as being an introduction. Okay. And some organizations, then it says number three continues by saying that some organizations have complex, others have narrow. Okay, fine. It's again talking about organization identities. Now, these some organizations feel differently, right? So five says those who think that complex identities, and two says others believe, right? So you it's like it's somewhat like three, four first coming, and then five and two coming, right? Or maybe four, three, and then five, two. So more focus is on these getting connected. Now, one, see, it talks about actors not fitting about in a category may suffer an illegitimacy discount. Now, actors here referring to as organizations, I guess, but then it's indirect. Point number one. Point number two, that this illegitimacy discount, now that is out of flow. We are talking about here identities being of two different types in organizations, and we are talking about the two school of thoughts. I'm not talking about any particular argument. So one falls out. You see, are you getting my point? I hope it's clear that four is talking about identity being an important future, but sociologists having different views. Three talking about some organizations have complex, others have narrow, right? Now, amongst these, some, right? Number five talks about those who think that complex identities they point to something, and others believe that they confuse. So that is the overall connection between the sentences. And one is talking about an illegitimacy discount and do not fit within a well-defined category. So it is slightly out of place and not exactly related to organizational identities and the complex and narrowed down identities as we are talking here. So one becomes the odd one out. Got it? So you need to actually find out those sentences, right, which are totally related, and then look to eliminate the one which is not the best connecting one in the given paragraph flow. Okay. So let me take another question. Next one again from 2019 CAT. Number one, stat signals something measurable, while Matic advertised free labor, but Tron above all indicated control. Number two, it was a totem of high modernism, the intellectual and cultural mode that decreed no process or phenomenon was too complex to be grasped, managed, and optimized. Number three, like the heraldic shields of ancient knights, these morphemes were painted onto the names of scientific technologies to proclaim one's history and achievements to friends and enemies alike. Number four, the historian Robert Proctor at the Stanford University calls the suffix tron, metic, and stat embodied symbols. Okay, so this looks like kind of introduction, right? It's in the past, and these what are these matrices these matrices we are talking about. So four looks like a kind of introduction. So by looking at introduction and all, I also rule out obvious this one will not be an odd one out, right? Then further it says, so these were symbols. Then says to gain the suffix was to acquire a proud and optimistic emblem of the electronic and atomic age, right? So you see, five also is related because it's talking about again the suffix, that how it was something which made you feel proud. It was an emblem of something good. Uh, the meaning of all three is being explained in one, so that is also connected, right? And three talks about like heraldic shield, so again emblem of honor, right? So three is also related. What is two talking about? Two is explaining something more in depth about it. It was totem of high modernism, intellectual and cultural mode, that no process or phenomenon was too complex to be grasped, managed, and optimized. Right. So now, what is the core of the whole passage? The core of the passage is that these three terms, when they are attached, they got attached to something. They acted as basically symbols of great pride and honor. Right. And they meant what they meant. So description, like four and one, if you see, it's introducing and describing, right? And five and three, you see, that is talking about how they were think of honor, right? So subgroups have been formed. Four and one are introduction definition, and five and three, this is another subgroup which talking about the pride you get in getting these words attached, right? But two is talking about explaining something, so which is not directly related to the flow and the core of this passage, the sub core of this passage. So the option which gets eliminated as the odd one out is 2. Now guys, you need to understand that you need to find subgroups, you need to find the sub core and connect them, find the connection, and automatically the odd one out goes out. So this requires a bit of consistent practice. And every time, let's say suppose you are practicing, you get an answer wrong, you should rethink the same way and check out where you went wrong. A bit of practice, let's say one or two questions every 1 2 days, and one walk to the other, you can easily master this. I would suggest you go through this video over and over again every time you feel that you are getting this concept wrong, because this is the solving psychology that I am discussing today. All right. Let me take one last question from CAT 2019 again. I'll go slow and then finish my discussion on this. First sentence. His idea was to use sign language. His idea to use sign language was not a completely new idea. As Native Americans, used hand gestures to communicate with other tribes. Okay, his idea, fine. Okay, whose idea? I'm marking it. Ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle, for example, observed that men who are deaf are incapable of speech. So this is talking about sign language, and he's saying the second one is talking about an example: deaf are incapable of speech. So I don't know what this is connected with. Let me move. Number three: people who are born deaf were denied the right to sign a will, as they were presumed to understand nothing. Oh my God. Because it is not possible that they have been able to learn or read or write. Okay, so reading depends on if you can listen or not. That's what it is saying. All right, let's keep moving. Pushback against this prejudice began in the 16th century when Pedro Ponce de Leon created a formal sign language for the hearing impaired. Okay, so against this prejudice, prejudice means a preconceived notion, right? Usually held against someone or something. So, which prejudice are we talking about? This one, presumed to understand nothing, right? We are talking about what is given in three. So, three and four are very strongly connected, guys. These cannot be ruled out, right? And this is, we are talking about a formal sign language, right? And who created this? Pedro created it, right? Okay, so Pedro created, and his idea to use the sign language was not new. To who his is referring to whom? Pedro. So 431 get connected. I'm not sure why two is being mentioned till now. Let's go to five. For millennia, people with hearing impairments encountered marginalization because it was believed that language could only be learned by hearing the spoken word. This sounds for millennia. Like remember in the one question we said like since in history. So that is a chronological beginning. It's introductory sentences have either they are like introduction or they're like a chronological beginning, right? So five might be the beginning here. So let me see. Am I get able to form a paragraph here? Let's check this out. Five talks about for years this has been happening, right? That you can only learn by hearing the spoken word, right? Three talks about people who could not listen, right? These they were presumed to understand nothing. So five and three again, that's a subgroup introduction. Now four and one are talking about the sign language, which was used against this prejudice, right? So again, two subgroups. I can see 5-3 as a subgroup, 4-1 as a subgroup, 2 falls out, right? So it's like finding a consistent core or subcore or finding subgroups which get connected, forming a link, and automatically throwing out the one which is not directly getting connected. So I thought that I'll get some of these CAT 19 questions and discuss them in details with you, just the flow. Because you see, in exam also, you have very less time, 1 to 2 minutes to actually solve a question and move on. So if you think like this, run through like this, right? And then in the end, you choose one and throw it out. You know? And because there's no negative marking, so do this process and get the one and get and keep moving. That's what you do in the exam. That's the amount of time that you have. So you will be able to get more correct than not if you're practicing this way in all your mocks as well. So with these words, I hope the topic is clear. All the best.